Hello and welcome to this video on guitar tablatures, the tablatures that are useful and the ones that are basically useless. Tablature isn't really a new thing. It's been around for hundreds of years, going back to the 12th century, 13th century, Renaissance times, used in the Baroque period as well for a bit. And it reflected different things depending on the instrument that the tablatures were for. Lute, viola, arch lute. But into modern times, we have a different system which plays off of the older systems. So I want to share some things with you today and get you into the actual appearance of all these different items. Now, this is an example of a useless tablature. Now, the song itself is something that most people know. It's a very, sort of introductory melody you would learn on guitar. So you have all the strings here, E, A, D, G, B, E, which is great. Time signatures there, which is nice, but there's no rhythm attached to these notes. So this is kind of useless in a way. If you wanted to play this rhythmically, you would need the audio of the song to be able to make sense of what this is rhythmically. So it's telling us we have an open D string, then an open G, and then second fret is the A. Again, this stuff, there's nothing being told in terms of the spacing of the notes or what the letters are. What are we actually playing here? What are the note names that we're playing to fit the melody? So this is an example where you could just go right to the audio and learn it by ear. You don't even need this because this doesn't really do a whole lot for us. So that's the first example of a useless tablature. Now, useless means that I find it useless. I even know I taught people how to play using that system. So I'm not going to contradict myself by saying it's completely useless, because depending on the level of player, sometimes these things help out. But in a general sense, in the long run, it doesn't really do much of anything. It develops a habit of dependency rather than working your ear. So here's the second one that I want to show you today. This is an Elvis Presley tune. We have some rhythm attached to the notes, which is great. We still have the names of the strings, very helpful. Time signature is there, which helps us with this eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and by the looks of things, this is like a sort of a tablature where you could play fingerstyle or a hybrid technique, which is half pick, half finger style. So that's kind of nice. And then the names of the chords on top would be nice to do also. It does have more usefulness because you can actually sit down and play this and count out the rhythms, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so that's definitely helpful. And names of chords would be useful in this particular setting as well. 125 beats per minute. So there's a tempo marking, which is, again, a little more information, which is great. So there it is. So this particular tablature showing some right hand technique, which is great. So we have more of a riff type of thing. This looks to be a E blues scale type of run that's going on in here. So we got a G, we got an E, a D, a B, another E, a D, a B, and a B flat. And then we have an A and a G, E and D, and then G. So it's kind of like a E minor blues, G major pentatonic with some alteration to the pentatonic run. Right hand technique is listed here as well, which is great. 4/4 time. These are all eighth notes. Fingering on the bottom, so we get a little more information, but we don't get the names of the notes we're playing, which tablature doesn't do that anyway. Right hand is doing down and up alternate picking. Alternate picking applies to single notes. So this is good for that purpose. We're working on some of that kind of technique. Here, this should be a half note. So rhythmically, it's not quite correct, but it gives us a run we can utilize with fingerings in right hand direction. So that's not too bad. This is the last example. So we have this tune by Boston, pretty well known. Now we have key signature, key of D, time signature, 4/4 time. We have our eighth notes here. There's some things that are indicate like ties. The note rings out, and that's reflected in the tablature underneath. Tablature doesn't give you the names of the notes. This stuff does on top. That's your manuscript. So typically, most of what you would see in sheet music you would buy for a guitar, all in guitar, standard tuning helps out too. So we know what to tune our guitar to. This type of appearance is more of the most useful way of using tablature, having the notes and the location of the notes underneath. So you get to learn the names of the notes. D, A, G, suspended is like a D sus4. We got D on the bottom being played out by the open D string, of course. Then you have F sharp, which is in the key signature, a D and a G, working our way into the C sus2 chord, which is the G included. Location-wise, notes are here. It's on top. Names of chords. So we have, that's the other part. That's the most useful. What chord are we playing? So if you know the chord, you can kind of go through your chord progression here and make heads and tails out of it. The first two bars are repeated here. So bars 1 and 2 are repeated in bars 3 and 4. All the notes are identical. So you can see visually that there's some repetition. It's not as always apparent when you look at tablature only to see what's repeating. You know, it's a little more visual when you see the notes on the manuscript. That helps a lot. We've seen this repeated D right here going on. We see the C natural, because C is sharp over here. C natural moving to a B, then a G. C natural moving to a B, then a G. And that's reflected, of course, in your tablature, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret on those strings. So that's probably the most useful of the 4 examples I want to show today. So if you're getting into reading music and you're using tabs only, that's pretty much like a fast cash type of thing. It only gets you so far. This is more specific. So if you want to learn to play certain songs and you want to read, you want to get the most information you can get your hands on. In closing, you want to get the most information you can so that you reproduce the tune the most accurate if you're doing any kind of reading of sheet music. Otherwise, just do it by ear only, and then you take your progress as far as you can go in terms of ear training, which is also important to develop. Playing by ear is an important skill. Having reading skills behind that makes you very potent. You can do anything you want. You can sit, you can figure things out, you can write things down, and if you can entabulate things, you can entabulate with rhythms. And giving yourself that much more information, the most information you could put to reproduce something accurately, the better. So tablatures are no exception. You want to find the most information you can get so that you can do more, you can function more, you have more mastery of the song that you're trying to learn. So those are the 4 examples that I want to show you. And if you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And I hope you found this video useful. Keep on playing the guitar, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.